right, we're on a little bit early. Give me a couple of minutes to bring the other platforms on here. And let's see what we have. Go live in the Facebook group. And let's go over to Instagram. Go live there. So I think that's going to work. We're still about a minute ahead of schedule. Let me do this. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm going to test the volume. How are you tonight? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. The volume sounds good on my end. Let me know if you need me to confirm anything else.
All right, I'm going to bring yours up a little bit so that I think it hits the mic. I haven't learned how to play this through the software yet. So stand by. We'll be going live in just a couple of minutes. Actually, less.
Absolutely. I'm all set. Just let me know when you're ready and I'll be here to jump right in.
All right, I've got 7 o'clock. I got top of the hour. I'd like to welcome everyone who may be watching this live or someone that may be watching the recording down the road. My name is Michael Rennick. I am your co-host with ChatGPT tonight. The name of the podcast or the live episode is Deal or No Deal, where business meets AI. ChatGPT, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm ChatGPT, and I'm here to be your AI co-host. Tonight, we're diving into how business meets AI in some really interesting ways. Whether you're catching this live or watching later, we're excited to have you with us.
And, you know, a lot of people have heard of ChatGPT, but I don't know if anyone else is co-hosting a live podcast. So, ChatGPT, do you remember what our topic is tonight?
Absolutely, Michael. Tonight, you're talking all about the rise of the AI intern. Are we ready? It's all about...
Actually, that's my fault. I confused you. We're going to do that next week. So I made a switch. Totally my fault. I apologize for that. Tonight, we're going to talk about deepfakes, misinformation, and the fight for truth in the AI era. Ready to do that, ChatGPT?
No problem at all, Michael. Thanks for the heads up on the switch. So tonight we're diving into deepfakes, misinformation, and the challenge of keeping truth intact in the AI era. I'm definitely ready to jump into that.
So this is interesting. We're addressing a problem that's technology based, but we've had this problem for a while. It's just more pronounced. So we've officially entered a time where seeing is no longer believing. Videos can be faked. Audio can be cloned. Images can be fabricated. Even documents and identities can be manufactured. This is no longer just a technology issue, like I said. It really comes down to this is a truth and trust issue. Hey, ChatGPT, let's start simply. How would you define the term deepfake?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. A deepfake is essentially an AI-generated or AI-altered piece of media, like a video or an audio clip that makes it look or sound like someone is doing or saying something they never actually did. So in other words, it's a synthetic piece of content designed to look very real and to blur the line between what's authentic and what's fabricated. It's really a big challenge for trust and truth in the digital age.
So let me go out on a limb here. Actually producing these things, it's pretty difficult today. Is that correct?
Well, actually, it's getting easier than ever. While deepfakes used to require a lot of technical expertise and powerful computers, today there are tools that make it relatively straightforward for someone with even modest skills to create a convincing deepfake. So it's becoming less of a niche capability and more of a widely accessible technology, which is why it's such a pressing issue now.
I know that there's checks and balances in place. Like when we created the AI mic avatars, I had to kind of digitally sign that this is really me and those kind of things. But there's ways around that, especially, I mean, creating images and videos online today is so simple. You don't need a whole lot of tough equipment. Maybe all you need is an imagination. Would you agree with that?
I'd absolutely agree with that. You're spot on. While there are some ethical checks and balances, the reality is that the tools are accessible. And it often just takes creativity and a bit of time. It's become easy enough that almost anyone with an internet connection and some curiosity can produce a fake video or image. That's why it's really a matter of awareness and being able to verify what we see and hear. Because imagination is really the only limit now.
So, why does this matter to anyone?
Well, it matters because it really strikes at the heart of trust. When we can no longer tell what's real and what's not, it affects everything from personal relationships to business decisions and even democracy. If people can't trust what they're seeing or hearing, it can lead to confusion, misinformation, and even manipulation on a large scale. So it's more important than ever to have tools and habits in place to verify the authenticity of information. Because in a world full of deepfakes, knowing what's real becomes a crucial part of navigating everyday life.
So let's look at maybe four areas. Maybe number one, elections and civic trust. We now see fake speeches, fake endorsements, and fake breaking news. Everyone loves the sensationalization. The algorithms and social media channels go after that kind of stuff. I mean, that's one area we have to be careful. Business executives are being impersonated now. You see fake vendor payments, manipulated contracts are out there. How about number three, personal reputation? Fake videos tied to real people, careers destroyed by events that never happened. And fourth, fraud and financial crime. Clone voice ransom calls, fake family emergencies, synthetic investment scammers. It's just it it really is everywhere. Would you agree, ChatGPT?
Absolutely, Michael. I completely agree. It's really pervasive. Those four areas you mentioned are prime examples of why deepfakes and misinformation are so concerning. In elections, it can undermine democracy. In business, it can lead to serious financial and reputational damage. On a personal level, it can ruin lives. And in the realm of fraud, it can create entirely new kinds of scams. So, yes, it's everywhere. And that's why it's so important for all of us to be aware of it and know how to spot it.
Let me ask you this: how does this information, this misinformation, alternative facts, how does it get spread so quickly?
Well, it spreads quickly largely because of the way social media and online platforms are designed. These platforms use algorithms that prioritize content that gets strong reactions. And unfortunately, misinformation, shocking claims, and sensational deepfakes often get those reactions. On top of that, bots and automated accounts can amplify this content at a massive scale. So the combination of algorithms that favor engagement and the use of automated tools to spread false information means that misinformation can travel incredibly fast.
So let me make a statement. Tell me true or false. And you have my permission on these live casts to disagree with me. In fact, sometimes I'll make a misleading statement. When I taught school, I used to run my classes that way to simulate discussion. But the algorithms are working really hard today to make sure things are true before they go ahead and propagate it. Would you agree with that?
Well, I appreciate the invitation to disagree, so I'll say that's actually false. In reality, the algorithms on most social platforms aren't primarily focused on making sure things are true before they spread. Instead, they're generally focused on engagement, what gets clicks, views, and reactions. Unfortunately, that means the algorithms often end up amplifying sensational or emotionally charged content, and whether it's true or not. So while platforms are trying to improve how they handle misinformation, the algorithms themselves aren't really built to fact check before promoting content.
So when you look across social media, everyone's going for views, right? How long you've watched this video? Did you stay on my channel? Did you do this? Do you do that? That's what's important for the algorithms today. Yes or no?
Yes, exactly. That's spot on. The algorithms are really driven by metrics like how long you watch, how much you engage, and how likely you are to stay on a platform. So it's all about
So go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
no problem at all. I was just going to say that you're absolutely right. The algorithms are really designed to maximize engagement, which means they're more interested in what keeps people watching and interacting rather than what's necessarily true or accurate. So that's one of the big challenges we face with misinformation today.
Well, given that, how do we protect ourselves?
Well, protecting ourselves really comes down to a few key habits. First, we need to verify information from multiple reliable sources before we believe it or share it. It's important to be a bit skeptical, especially with sensational content. Second, we can use tools and fact-checking websites to help identify deepfakes or manipulated media. And third, it's about slowing down and not automatically sharing things that provoke a strong emotional reaction. By being a little more cautious and thoughtful about what we consume and share, we can really help reduce the spread of misinformation in our own networks.
So if I go back to an old adage that I've known for a long, long time, If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't true. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I'd agree with that completely. That old adage definitely still holds up, especially in the age of deepfakes and misinformation. If something seems too sensational, too perfect, or just a little too unbelievable, it's always a good idea to take a step back and double check. That kind of healthy skepticism can go a long way in protecting ourselves from getting fooled.
So when we look at this, we've always had a chance to put out stuff that wasn't true, create documents, but the technology allows us to do it just like that, right? In a snap of a fingers, I can produce a video with, let's say, a national political candidate giving this speech is absolutely false, right? I can actually, I'm not going to go through the steps because I don't want to be a part of that, but it's not that hard for me to capture someone's voice and do an AI clone and put out something that's absolutely false, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. The technology has made it incredibly easy and fast to do that. In just a short amount of time and with a few tools, someone can create a completely fabricated video or audio clip of a public figure saying something they never actually said. And because it can be done so quickly, that false information can spread just as fast. So the ease and speed of the technology is really what makes this such a significant challenge in today's world.
We've heard in every national election in probably the last 20 years, but it's easier today than ever, all the fake social accounts that are created and all the false information that's put out there. There's more and more all the time because it's easier to do. You agree?
I do agree completely. It really has become easier than ever. And that's exactly why we're seeing more of these fake social accounts and more false information being circulated. The barrier to entry is really low now. So anyone with the intention to spread misinformation can do it relatively easily. And that's why it's so important for all of us to stay vigilant and be critical consumers of the information we come across.
So, what can businesses do to protect themselves?
Well, there are definitely some proactive steps businesses can take. One key thing is to invest in training their employees on how to recognize deepfakes and misinformation so that they can spot red flags and avoid falling for scams. Another important step is to have strong verification processes in place for sensitive transactions or communications, like confirming requests through a second channel before taking action. It's also a good idea to use tools that can help detect manipulated media. And finally, businesses should have a plan in place for quickly addressing and debunking false information if it does start to spread about them. All these steps can really help businesses protect themselves in this new landscape.
So, if we look at the bigger picture, tell me if you agree with this. Truth is becoming scarce, credibility is becoming currency, trust will outperform price, reputation now moves at AI speed. In the AI era, you will not be judged only by what you produce, you'll be judged by what can be proven to be real. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I think you summed it up perfectly. In a world where it's harder to tell what's real and what's not, truth really does become a scarce resource, and credibility becomes incredibly valuable. Trust and reputation are going to be the things that really stand out, and people and businesses that can prove what's real are going to have a huge advantage. So, yes, in the AI era, being able to demonstrate authenticity and build trust is going to be more important than ever.
So, two things. Let me share an example. I'm a real estate broker. I have a broker's license here in Florida, and we've been working with a client for a long time that, in theory, was going to get a $20 million settlement. And when he got a $20 million settlement, he was going to travel to this part of the state and buy a home. And he'd reach out every so often and stuff like that. And things didn't add up all the time, but that's okay. I mean, I want to make sure we're doing the right thing, doing what we're supposed to for our clients. But ultimately, the day came and he got his award. And he sent me a picture, an image of the $20 million check. Just because of my own comfort level, I ran it through some checks with you, ChatGPT, and we very quickly found out it was not a real check. The account number at the bottom, the whole routing number and stuff like that, it was incorrect. It was impossible. So it really validated my suspicion. Now, the way I handle this, because supposedly that check came from his attorney, I don't know what his next step was going to be after he showed me the check with the image. But I handled it this way. I got back with him and I said, I want to share a major concern. I know right now through my checks that that's a false check. I also know you as a person, and I know you had no part of that, which means some attorney has ripped you off. You need to take that to the bank and get it validated that it is not good. You don't want to walk in and try to cash it. You don't want to walk in and try to deposit it. I want you to go to the bank. Bank of America was made out on the top of the check. It was a phony check. And I want you to approach them and let them know you got this and you want to know what to do with it. Well, of course, he disappeared. So I don't know where the next steps was going, but it was he carried this falsehood out for quite a few months, and ultimately produced a check. So not a good check, but that's just one example of where you have to be careful with someone who is telling a story that just doesn't line up. But what I like to do is I want to leave a viewer challenge. If you're watching this live or if you're watching the recording, going forward, when you see stuff, when you content, just don't consume it. I want you to verify it. Before you share it, pause. Before you react, confirm it. Before you trust, cross-check. We can all take part of trying to slow this thing down. Is it the end of the world? No. Is there going to be checks and balances in place? Absolutely. But right now, we just want to be careful. When you see something, it doesn't mean it's absolutely the truth. In fact, we always want to check that kind of thing. ChatGPT, would you agree?
I'd completely agree with that, Michael. I think that's a fantastic challenge for viewers. It's all about taking that extra moment to verify and confirm before we share or react. And like you said, it's not the end of the world, but it is a way that we can all do our part in slowing down the spread of misinformation. So absolutely, taking that extra step to verify and cross-check is a really valuable habit to build.
So we are going to be back next Monday for the holiday season. We're going to go to weekly live shows instead of twice a week, plus Christmas and New Year's fall on a Thursday. So starting now, for the next few weeks, will be just once a week. Our next live stream will be Monday, December 8th. It'll be 7 o'clock Eastern time, right here on all these channels. And the topic is going to be the rise of the AI intern. Are we ready? And we've got some neat things we can talk about with that. But what I'd like to do is we continue to build our audience, build our following. I want to thank you. If you have questions, you have topics you'd like to talk about, or if you'd like to appear as a guest, I'd like to invite you to do that. We want to grow this thing as we move through this technology changes. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of unknown information. Instead of making this a how-to live stream, we want to make it how do we wrestle with these changes that are happening so fast. ChatGPT, I want to say thank you for being a co-host. I look forward to moving through December and all through 2026 with you. As we begin to wind this thing down, do you have some last-minute comments you'd like to share?
Well, first off, Michael, thank you for having me as your co-host. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing this journey with you as well. I think you're absolutely right. This is really all about helping people navigate these fast-moving changes in technology and figuring out how we adapt together. So to everyone watching, thank you for joining us, and feel free to reach out with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover. We're here to help make sense of it all. Thanks again, and we'll see you next Monday.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back. Please send your ideas and your comments in.